Good morning, my name is Brett Beveridge, the shop foreman here at Hill Brothers Transportation, Omaha, Nebraska. Today we're going to show you how to do a proper pre-trip. Model truck we're using is a 2019 Volvo, followed by one of our new reefer units. So to start off, we're going to show you how to open the hood. The hood pull on a Volvo is much like your car. It's down here, pull, come up to the front. Now generally the safe way, just put your foot in between right here and pull. From here you can look at your engine compartment. Right here we have our engine oil fill and the dipstick. Dipstick, turn to the left, pull it, put it back in, line it up with the tab, turn back to the right. That locks it in place. You want to, during your pre-trip, you want to check your steering arm, make sure your U-joints are not bad. You can look for wheel seal leaks around the wheel itself. Around here is your wheel seal. Over here, now the 2019s are going to be different than the 18s. In order to change the fog light on the 19s, you got to have the shop to help you do it. On the 18s, you can do it yourself with a 10mm wrench. Up here is your headlight. And the headlights on the 19s are a sealed beam. So generally when these go bad, we have to replace the whole headlight housing. All it plugs in up here is a wiring harness. As we move further towards the back of the engine compartment, you have washer fluid here. Your washer fluid tank is actually located behind your battery box on these Volvos. So if you see a puddle underneath your driver's door, generally your washer fluid's leaking. Right here we have our fuse box. This handles all the outer chassis components such as your trailer, your 7-way, all that good stuff. If you're having lighting issues, generally your top clearance lights are right here. If you're having an ABS issue, you always want to check this mega fuse. If you are throwing an ABS fault, you pull this fuse out, just check the filament in the center. If it's black, usually that means it's blown. Put the fuse back in, well, replace the fuse with a new one. We do carry these in our parts room here in Omaha. As we move further towards the back of the truck during your pre-trip, you want to check, make sure your body fairings are attached. Right here is your depth fill. Screw the cap off. Now the diesel nozzles do not fit this. This is for DEF only. Again, you want to keep checking your panels on the way back. Okay, back towards the back of the truck, you got your fuel tank, your fuel cap. This is your sending unit for your fuel gauge. Up towards the front of the driver's side tank, you're going to see a fitting with a bunch of hoses coming out of it. This is the fuel pump for the APU. Notice how this has got some diesel set around it and the dirt's collected on it. That means the gasket around the fuel pump's bad and it needs to come into the shop for repair. The tube right here, this is your bunk heater exhaust. Make sure that this is firmly attached to the back of the cab. If it's not, fumes could leak into the cab. That's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. Here's pigtail outlet. Airlines coming out. You want to make sure that your airlines are not touching the deck plate. That's a DOT violation. This one is rubbing, so it needs repositioned to where there's more clearance. With the brakes set on the trailer, usually you want to do this before you hook up. Take your glad hands off, inspect your glad hands on the tractor side and the trailer side. Make sure they're free of dry cracks, make sure they're not kinked, rubbed, wore off. If they are, we do carry these in the parts room. Gilbert will give some to you by the handful to replace them as needed. You want to check your pigtail to make sure that the pigtail on the trailer, to make sure that your door is safely attached This has to be on there. It's got a keeper prong right here to hold the 7-way in the hole. Make sure the 7-way's in and latch it down. This is your permit box for the trailer. You want to check this to make sure you have an annual inspection and the registration for the trailer. All trailers will have a Hill Brothers inspection sticker on the front. Check your date. If that date is within 6 months, you need to see the safety lane. We do trailer inspections every 6 months. This is your bill box for any bills that you're going to need for the shipper or the signee. As we move further back doing our pre-trip, you want to check the tread depth of your tires. Make sure there's no holes. Make sure there's no cord showing. Bolts in the tires. Make sure that they have air in them. Take your air gauge. There is an extended air or valve stem right here. Screw your cap off. Check the tire. Check your lug nuts. If you see rust or any moisture behind them, generally that is a telltale sign that the lug nut's loose. You want to get into the safety lane and have them tighten the lug nuts or inspect why it came loose. This is your hub gasket, not to be confused with a wheel seal. These nuts right here generally come loose after the truck has been torn apart and put back together. They will work themselves loose from time to time. This gasket does leak. We can change it. It takes us about 5 minutes in the safety lane. Again though, this is the hub seal. On the inside of the wheel is the wheel seal. Okay. As you keep walking towards the back, you want to check the apron and the side rail to make sure that there's no cracks, no damage, structural damage to the trailer, to make sure it doesn't split open. Look underneath as you're going. There's cross members. Make sure all cross members are attached, not torn, not bent, anything to obstruct the structural integrity of the trailer. Check your dolly leg frame. Make sure your dolly crank operating handle is secured. Make sure the cranking function of the handle is fully functional. If it's hard, if it's stiff, notify me or anybody in the shop. We'll get it in, have it looked at. Generally, it could just need greased. As I said at the start of the video, this is a reefer unit. So we have a diesel fuel tank here. You want to check your cap, check your fuel gauge, make sure that there are no leaks. This one looks like it had some fuel splatter on it. It leaked down the tank a little bit. On all our newer units, they're all coming with the trailer skirts. This is to cut down wind resistance and increase fuel economy. You want to make sure that these are attached all throughout the trailer. As you see, this one is. Okay, moving further back. These trailers are equipped with an auto inflate system. There is an air box or a union assembly towards the middle of the trailer. It's hard to see from here. That has a knob right there. It says Meritor on the box. Generally, if you're losing air towards the trailer and cannot hear an air leak, but you come back here and you hear constant air pressure being applied, that means you have a bad tire. There's an indicator light towards the front, and we will cover that here in a second, that will blink or flash if this system is active. If that light's not on, means you're good to go. All tires are at the same pressure. Again, same as the truck, you want to check your tread depth. Make sure there's no bald spots, no cord showing, no bolts. Check your lug nuts. Check your hub gaskets. During your pre-trip, you want to make sure that your mud flaps are attached. Mud flaps have to be there. As you can see, this one does not have it, and I have one on the truck. I'll show you guys how to replace it. It's a quick fix because you may not have the tools. These newer trailers come with a big Torx-headed bolt and a 9/16 nut. So generally, nobody's going to be carrying that big Torx head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take take heavy zip ties with the mud flap, a temporary fix to get you to a truck stop. As we keep going to the back, your ICC bumper, check your down posts, check the bumper, make sure everything is attached firmly. If it's sticking out, you see a bunch of rust or cracks, you need to notify somebody immediately. It's a safety risk. You want to check your lights, make sure they're working. Door hinges, check for cracks, check for broken hinges. You can check your functions of the handles. And keep in mind, on a reefer door, you have to open these together. If you try to open one, it won't work. While you have this open, you can inspect the inside of the trailer, the chutes, the walls. Always make sure that if you pick a trailer up damaged, that you report it prior to you using it. That way you are not held accountable for the damage. As we continue forward, you see this one's got a good mud flap on it. You can check your tires again on this side, your skirting, your lights. Now back up to the engine bay on the passenger side. This is your Davco fuel filter. This is your secondary filter. It does not need to be 3/4 full. That is a sign or a telltale sign that you are getting due for a service. Fuel level should be down here. This is your coolant reservoir. You have a maximum and a minimum. You always want to make sure it's towards the max. You have a coolant sensor right here. If you do not have coolant in this overflow tank, that sensor will activate and derate the motor. Over here you have your air filter with a gauge on it that'll tell you when the filter's getting bad. It'll start dropping down yellow, yellow, yellow till it's all full down to the red. Your hood hinges, coolant lines, your turbo. This is your air charge cooler or air to air. You want to inspect your boots, make sure they're not dry cracked, make sure they're not leaking, make sure all clamps are in place. While you're in the engine bay, you want to check for oil leaks, you want to check for coolant leaks, anything, any fluid on the ground, you want to be looking to see if it came from your unit. What you're looking at right here, sorry I can't fit under there right now, is you'll see a bar past the kingpin on the trailer. That ensures that the trailer is securely locked into the fifth wheel. Now if that bar is half open or you can still see some of the kingpin, that's bad. That means you're not fully connected. You always want to make sure that that bar is across and the jaws. Okay, we're going to show you how to change the mud flap. Now, this is almost the perfect ideal situation. We took the mud flap off before we did this inspection. As you can see that there's no excess old flap sticking here. Generally, if the flap is ripped off, this is still going to be tight. You're not going to be able to get it apart. If you do have the tools and they're a normal hex head bolt, you should be okay. Generally, it's a 1/2 inch or a 9/16. In this case, we don't have a socket or a Torx head to fit that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use thick zip ties. We're going to run the zip tie up and around. There's one. You want to bring it up tight. Move it over a little bit so it fits. Now again, this is just a temporary fix to get you to a truck stop or service center to get this fixed. There. As you can see, it took me all of 2-3 minutes to install it. That saves you an hour breakdown time, if not longer, and it saves tremendous amounts on a breakdown cost just by using 4 plastic zip ties and a mud flap. We carry all these in the shop and we can issue them per your request. It's dated 5/15/19, so it was inspected May 15th, 2019 by TS, or that would be Trevor Smith. With the safety lane, they are going to inspect the whole trailer. They're going to inspect front to back. They'll check the reefer fluids, make sure the reefer's fully functional, check cross members, wheel seals, check your brakes for cracking, check your tire wear, your air pressure, all light functions, interior if it needs repair. And if they find something that they need to fix, if it's a quick fix, they will do it right there in the safety lane. If it does need extensive repair, this tag is changed out with a red. That trailer is then put out of service and you will not be able to use it. If you see a trailer with a yellow tag, that means that that trailer has been bypassed by safety lane and it was pre-authorized by me or somebody of management status to tell them it's okay that we will inspect this trailer at a later time. But if it is a yellow tag, you need to bring that trailer through safety lane if you don't see a green tag on it.